The moment Cassie Ventura showed those text messages in court, Diddy's entire face changed. His lawyers frantically passed notes. The jury couldn't look away. What you're about to see is the exact evidence that might send one of music's biggest moguls to prison for life. Cassie didn't just testify. She brought receipts that nobody saw coming. Hotel surveillance footage showing what really happened that night. Text messages where she told Diddy she felt dirty and grimy after those freak-offs. And the bombshell $20 million settlement that Diddy's team never wanted public. The courtroom literally went silent when prosecutors revealed what was found hidden inside a Balenciaga boot in Diddy's Miami mansion. By the end of this video, you'll understand why 50 Cent walked into that courtroom and why celebrities are abandoning Diddy faster than rats from a sinking ship.
Wow. Day 4 of the Diddy trial just wrapped up, and I don't think anyone expected the bombshells we saw today. I mean, we're talking about evidence that could literally end Diddy's career and freedom.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is how Cassie's demeanor completely changed during cross-examination. The defense thought they were going to break her down, but she held her ground in a way nobody expected.
Let's break down exactly what happened today and why legal experts are saying this might be the turning point in the entire case.
So let's start with the cross-examination. The defense attorney, Anna Estevao, tried to paint this picture that Cassie was a willing participant in these freak-offs, right?
Exactly. They showed all these text messages from 2009 where Cassie was saying things like, "I love our freak-offs," when we both want it. But what was fascinating was Cassie's response.
She didn't deny sending those messages, but she testified that by 2017, those were just words at that point. She basically admitted that yes, early in the relationship, things might have seemed consensual, but that changed.
And that's where the defense strategy completely backfired. They showed these messages thinking they would discredit her, but instead, it showed this progression of a relationship that became more controlling over time.
The courtroom was completely silent when Cassie explained how those early messages were from a time before the physical abuse escalated. She said, and I'm quoting directly from the transcript, "There's a lot more to that," when asked if she wanted to make Diddy happy by participating in these encounters.
What struck me was how composed she remained. CNN reported that she was much more at ease and even laughed a few times on the stand compared to her direct examination. That's not what you'd expect from someone making false accusations.
And did you see Diddy's reaction? Multiple courtroom reporters said he was visibly uncomfortable, constantly writing notes and passing them to his attorneys. That's not the confident Diddy we're used to seeing.
The defense also tried to bring up her drug use, right? Trying to suggest she wasn't reliable because of that?
Yes, but Cassie flipped that narrative too. She testified that Diddy was addicted to success, and then to opiates, and that he became more irritable and angry when withdrawing. She even testified about his overdose in 2012.
That's a critical point because the defense is trying to paint her as unreliable due to drug use, but she's saying Diddy was the one supplying the drugs and encouraging their use during these freak-offs.
Let's talk about that hotel surveillance footage that was shown again today. This is from the 2016 incident at the Intercontinental Hotel.
This is where things get really damaging for Diddy. The defense tried to claim that Cassie was the one who initiated that freak-off that night, showing text messages where she said, "We can have fun. I don't want you thinking I don't want to."
But Cassie pushed back hard, testifying that Diddy's repeated texts asking about her plans that night was his way of proposing a freak-off. She said, "When you're with someone for so long, you know what they mean when they text certain things."
And here's where it gets interesting. The defense tried to suggest Diddy was going through withdrawal that night, which might explain his behavior. But Cassie testified she doesn't remember him going through withdrawal at that time.
The most damning part about this footage is that it directly contradicts what Diddy claimed at his bail hearing. Remember, he said he was chasing her to get his phone and belongings.
But Cassie testified under oath today that the purse, bag, and phone were all hers. That's a direct contradiction that could be interpreted as Diddy lying to the court.
And the jury was shown photos of her injuries after that incident. The black eye, the fat lip that she had to cover with makeup for her movie premiere 2 days later.
Those photos are devastating evidence. You can't argue with visual proof like that.
The text messages shown in court today were absolutely wild. Some were so explicit the judge had to warn the gallery.
What stood out to me was this message from 2009 where Cassie told Diddy a recent freak-off left her feeling dirty and grimy, and that their early intimacy felt different when they were so in. Love.
That's crucial because it shows that even early on, she was expressing discomfort with these encounters. The prosecution is building this case that over time, what might have started as consensual became coercive.
And there was that March 2017 text where Cassie told Diddy, "I love our freak-offs when we both want it." The defense thought this was a gotcha moment, but Cassie testified those were just words at that point.
The context matters so much here. By 2017, according to her testimony, she was deeply trapped in this cycle of abuse and control.
There were also messages about her drug use, where she asked Diddy if he had any more pills. She testified she was using opiates like Norco around that time.
But she also testified that Diddy was extremely dependent on his opiates and would get very upset if his opiates were taken away from him.
This paints a picture of a relationship where drugs were used as another form of control. The prosecution is building this case that Diddy used drugs to keep Cassie compliant for these freak-offs.
Let's talk about the Bombshell $20 million settlement revelation. This wasn't public knowledge until Cassie testified about it yesterday.
That's right. She testified that she and Diddy settled her civil lawsuit in 2023 for $20 million. That lawsuit contained many of the same allegations she's testifying about now.
What's interesting is that the prosecution brought this up during direct examination, before the defense could use it against her.
Smart strategy. They're getting ahead of the defense argument that she made these allegations for money.
But think about it. If Diddy was innocent, why pay $20 million to settle a lawsuit within 24 hours of it being filed?
Exactly. And CNN legal analyst Jennifer Rogers pointed out that the prosecution brought this up first because they knew the defense would try to use it to show bias.
The defense did try to suggest that Cassie's lawsuit ruined Diddy's career, asking if she thought it would be fair to say Combs' career was ruined after the lawsuit became public.
And Cassie simply responded, "I could understand that, yeah." Very measured. Very calm.
One of the most shocking parts of today's testimony was when Cassie described how Diddy allegedly threatened rapper Kid Cudi.
She testified that Diddy lunged at her with a wine opener after learning she was dating Kid Cudi during a freak-off in 2011.
And she said Diddy told her that Kid Cudi's car would be blown up. What's wild is that in her civil lawsuit, she alleged that around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway.
And Kid Cudi actually confirmed this to the New York Times. That's a serious allegation of potential criminal activity beyond just the relationship with Cassie.
The defense also brought up Michael B. Jordan's name, suggesting Diddy was suspicious that Cassie was dating him at one point.
Speaking of celebrities, 50 Cent has been very vocal about supporting Cassie. He's been posting about the case on social media and has even offered to help fund her legal support.
And we're seeing a mass exodus of celebrities from Diddy's corner. Many have unfollowed him on social media, and sources say several A-listers aren't returning his calls.
This case is really exposing how power works in the music industry. For decades, people were afraid to speak out against Diddy because of his influence.
Let's talk about the jury reactions, because that's ultimately what matters here.
Multiple courtroom reporters noted that when explicit evidence was shown, one woman on the jury visibly pursed her lips. A male juror shook his head. Another sat with his hand pressed to his face in disbelief.
Those are not good signs for Diddy. When jurors are physically reacting like that, it suggests the evidence is making an impact.
And Cassie's composure throughout all of this has been remarkable. Even when shown compromising photos of herself, she remained calm and steady.
The cross-examination is expected to continue tomorrow. The judge is urging lawyers to wrap up Cassie's testimony before the weekend, as she's due to give birth soon.
That's right. The prosecution mentioned they're worried Cassie could have the baby over the weekend.
After Cassie's testimony concludes, the prosecution is expected to call more witnesses, including possibly some of Diddy's former staff who allegedly witnessed abuse.
This case is far from over, but today's testimony may have been a turning point.
So what do you think? Based on what we've seen so far, is Diddy in serious trouble?
I think the evidence is mounting in a way that's going to be very difficult for his defense team to overcome. The text messages, the hotel footage, the photos of injuries, it's all adding up.
And remember, this is a federal case. The conviction rate in federal cases is over 90%. The prosecutors wouldn't have brought these charges if they didn't believe they had a strong case.
If convicted on all counts, Diddy could face up to life in prison. This isn't just about his reputation anymore. His freedom is at stake.
We'll be back tomorrow with more updates as the cross-examination continues. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our daily coverage of this explosive trial.
And let us know in the comments what you think about today's testimony. Do you believe Cassie? Or do you think there's more to the story?
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow with more breaking updates from the Diddy trial.